If you are honest with yourself, you can see that you are actually successful in certain things in your life. You might be successful as a parent, you might be successful as a spouse, or you might be successful as a professional or an entrepreneur, and so on. Now, the problem is you experience success in one dimension of life and you do not experience the same level of success in other dimensions of life, right? You might be a successful entrepreneur, but your relationships might suck. Or you might have very good relationships with your family, but you might be financially broke. And you might tell yourself again and again, if I have the right strategy, if I have more time and more energy, maybe I can manage all aspects of life. Maybe I can be successful in everything. But there is a fundamental error here that you are missing. And this is what I can see in some of the most successful people in the world. If you look at the lives of Elon Musk and Bill Gates and so on, who have achieved great levels of success in one dimension of life, that is money and businesses, the other dimensions of life seem to be broken, either their relationships or their inner peace or something else. Now, the problem here is never the time or strategy, but the problem is structural, and almost nobody understands this. The reason you cannot be a great entrepreneur and a great husband at the same time is not effort, it is not discipline. And the answer lies in the life of Sri Krishna. And if you understand how Krishna lived his life on earth, this problem will be solved forever. And we can achieve success not just in one dimension of life, but in all dimensions of life. So by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why succeeding in one part of your life seems to quietly cost you every other part, and a specific shift that can end that trade-off completely. Again, not a strategy, but a very shift in the operating system through which you are operating from. Because there is a hidden aspect within you, a fluid architecture which can help you be different versions in different points in time to achieve success in different dimensions that Sri Krishna understood. Now, before we go to the solution, first let's understand the problem. The problem here is what I call an unconscious rigid identity. Each and every person over a period of time has built an unconscious identity for himself, an unconscious operating system. Vedanta calls it Swabhava, our nature. So if we take the example of Elon Musk again, he has built a powerful identity of confidence, of thinking from first principles, of taking effective decisions, which has yielded a lot of results for him in one dimension of life, in money and in his businesses. But when it comes to the other dimensions like relationships and children and so on, the same identity is not relevant there, is not effective there. Basically, an identity that can help us achieve financial success is not the same identity which can help us build good relationships. And it is not the same identity which can help us achieve good health and so on. So for different aspects of life, we need different identities. And with this, let me come to something, a realization that I had which changed my perspective forever. Think about why we worship Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is one of the most popular forms of divine that is worshipped across the world, and he's very, very close to people. Now, why do we worship Sri Krishna? We worship him not because he held one powerful identity. We don't worship him because he was a great king, he was a great warrior, he was a great husband, and so on. But we worship him because he was not attached to any one identity. In fact, he was not an identity at all. We worship Krishna because he was that awareness, that deeper intelligence behind all these identities. In fact, when we look at what happened in Kurukshetra when Sri Krishna began to teach Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, at the end of Gita, Krishna presents himself to Arjuna in his limitless form. He presents the Vishwarupa Darshana. And the meaning of this form is that Krishna himself can wear any identity. He can be Lord Ganesha, he can be Shiva, he can be Narayana, because Krishna is not Krishna. Krishna is not an identity. He's not limited to any form. He's fluid, he's expansive, he's limitless. Based on what the context demands, based on what the situation demands, Krishna had the ability to wear an identity, to wear a mask, and take care of that role in the best way possible, because of which Krishna was successful in everything that he was doing. At a very young age, he was able to kill demons that were hundreds of times bigger than him. He was a successful warrior, he was a successful king, he was a successful friend, he was a successful spouse, he was a successful charioteer for Arjuna. In fact, the very reason for Arjuna's victory was Krishna. He literally saves Arjuna's life multiple times during the war as a charioteer. So Krishna had this innate ability to change his identity and to become what is required for the moment. And that ability is available for us. That dimension is accessible for us. And that is what the modern world is lacking. We are stuck with one unconscious identity. That is why you might have seen success in one dimension of life. While you were a student, you might have been very successful. But as a professional, you might not be seeing that success. Or you might have a very good relationship with your spouse. You might be very successful in that dimension. But you might not be seeing that level of success in your career or in your finances. You are stuck with one unconscious operating system, one rigid identity, and you are taking that same identity everywhere. But life doesn't work this way. Right? We need to take care of various responsibilities, and we need various capabilities and various identities to take care of various responsibilities. You cannot operate the way you operate as a CEO in your business with your child. With your child, with your baby, you need to be a completely different person. In fact, you are a very different person. But we don't understand this consciously. We don't understand why this is important and how to do this. Now, to understand how we can do this, we need to go deeper into the doctrine of Advaitha Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta says we are none of these identities. We are not our unconscious identity that makes us stuck. We are not the powerful identity that makes us a successful entrepreneur. And we are none of these identities. Identities are masks that we wear, right? There is a deeper layer behind that, and that is awareness. This is the game of the identity and consciousness. Consciousness is fluid, it is limitless, and identity is just a mask that we wear. And again, going back to the example of Sri Krishna, Krishna was not limited to a charioteer, Krishna was not limited to a friend, he was not limited to a warrior or a king, but he was all of it and none of it. He was the infinite power behind those roles. Similarly, we are that infinite power behind our roles. We are not our roles. And once we understand this, once we begin to tap into this dimension called consciousness, which is fluid, which is expansive, which is infinite, that is when we will be able to wear different identities effortlessly like a mask. Just like how we change our clothes, we can change our identities based on what the situation demands, based on what the context demands. Right now, that is not happening. We are bringing that one unconscious, rigid identity everywhere, and we are breaking our business, we are breaking our relationships, and so on. Because we are not being fluid. The primary job of our ego and our subconscious is to keep us consistent, is to protect the identity that has worked in the past. So this identity that you currently carry, it was not chosen, it was assembled by what got rewarded. Every business win deepened the same pattern. Fast, decisive, and problem solving. And over the years, it hardened into one unconscious identity. And now releasing it feels like dying. So it holds on even when it hurts you, even in the areas of life where it doesn't work. Life is multidimensional. Life is a game where there are various levels and various domains. And we need to be different characters to win in different domains. On the boardroom, we need decisiveness, speed, cutting, discipline. Identity must be sharp and fast. In marriage, we need patience, we need presence. We need to think not from a point of outcome, but love. When it comes to parenting, we need to lose the track of time. We need to keep the ego aside completely. We need to drop down on the floor and play with the child as a child. These are not mood shifts. These are different identities that we need to wear consciously. Therefore, the successful entrepreneur who is powerful in his job does not become a better husband. He just becomes a more efficient stranger to his spouse. With this, let's come to the most important part of the video where we will understand how to make it happen. The good thing here is, at some level, you have been always doing this. Your identity is evolving over time. You are not the same person that you were 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And you already don't behave in the same way in your job as you would with your child. Inherently, you know this. And what will change in you when you let go of this unconscious identity is that sense of stuckness and that sense of stress that you carry within yourself. Suddenly, when you drop your attachment to your identity, you begin to feel a sense of calmness and peace. You are that awareness now. You are not rigid, you are fluid, and that changes everything. So the exhaustion drops and the tiredness begins to fade away, and the relationships repair. Not because of more time given, but because the right version of you appears. Third, your work sharpens because you know how to conduct yourself in your job. Finally, you begin to play the game based on how the game needs to be played. And there is a very powerful process called dharana that we have created for the advanced journey called Transcend at Adhvaitha Conscious Society. And dharana means exactly this. It is to hold or to maintain. It is where we help individuals break their connection with their unconscious identity, and where we help them become more fluid within, more expansive within. And from that place of awareness, they can consciously choose different identities which they map out through blueprints, which they wear for different roles in their life. And this is a very, very powerful process that has helped members within ACS in tremendous ways. One simple way in which you can start doing this is just figure out different roles, the parameters of different roles and identities that you need to wear for different dimensions of life. As a parent, how you need to be; as a spouse, how you need to be; as a leader, how you need to be; as an entrepreneur or a professional, how you need to be. Make a list of things and patterns that you need to embody.